Okay,
Thank you.
so yeah, I'm close to the temple, but just not there exactly. So, but we could start. Now, Justin B, do you think you could read? Start to read?
Okay. Which
Where we
page or what section?
what is the page, Stevie?
46, lesson 9.
Yes, page 46, lesson 9. And then if you read, I'll comment, and then we could, yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Lesson 9, Guru Seva. Lesson topics. Qualifications of a disciple, Guru Seva in service to ISKCON, meeting obligations in a balanced manner. Sevaya. Just like if you purchase something, you must pay for it. Therefore, it is called Sevaya. You cannot pay by returning the value, which is taught by the spiritual master. That is not possible. Therefore, it is called Sevaya. Dedicate your life for this service. You cannot pay. What have you got to pay, spiritual master? So there's a table. It says Guru Seva in service to ISKCON. List in the table below ways you can serve the mission of ISKCON and ways you can serve our Guru. And then there's a comment area. Comment on the importance of a balanced approach to rendering Guru Seva in service to the mission of ISKCON.
All right, so we could take a few minutes to do that, right? Writing exercise. So would anyone like to share? What about Justin?
Too many Justins.
Oh,
I can
Justin.
go. Yes. Okay. So I made a list of ways to serve ISKCON in the guru, and they're pretty similar, I guess. It just depends where you're focusing the attention. Cooking, cleaning, making garlands, shopping. So that's serving the needs of the guru, or it could also be for the temple, depending, who needs help. And then other things like doing kirtans, hearing lectures or giving lectures, distributing books. These are all nice ways to do service. And then for the balanced approach, I think for householders, it requires a lot of balance because we have to do material things, have a job and raise a family without getting too out of control and staying sort of in the spiritual mindset. So that's basically what I have.
Nice. Nice. Would anybody else like to share?
Hi, it's Diane. I can just add a few more things. I just had like following the guru's directions and just in general, just behaving the right way, like a devotee, and to always give credit to the guru. So like your guru and the gurus before that, and Prabhupada, don't like take credit yourself is a good way to serve your guru.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, so there's many practical things we could do for our gurus, for ISKCON, and like Justin B was mentioning about whatever, making garlands or cooking or this or that, different services. But whatever we do, we want to keep in mind that we're whenever we're able to do a Krishna consciousness, it's actually we should give credit to our guru, our previous teachers. So it's an important point. That's what Prabhupada would personally, he said, I don't have any, if I have any credit, it's that I followed the order of my spiritual master. And he would actually give it all to his guru. So that's an important point. And in terms of balancing them, I mean, generally, it's not a big problem. It's not a problem to balance service to one's guru with service to ISKCON because the guru is a part of ISKCON and it goes together. Of course, there's so it's generally not a problem. Does anybody have any questions or other comments in this regard? And if not, then Justin B could continue reading from the book.
Okay, so next page, there's two more question and answers. I guess fill in the section, I mean. So it says, meeting obligations in a balanced manner. List some of the obligations I have in life in addition to obligations to my guru. And the next area says, suggest solutions to challenges faced in filling obligations to guru and others in a balanced manner.
Okay, so we'll just take a few minutes for that, write an exercise. How about Stevie? Does Stevie want to share?
For meeting obligations in a balanced manner, list some of the obligations I have in life in addition to obligations to my guru. So obligations in my life, family, work, householder duties are my obligations outside of serving my guru, or they would both be part of it. And then in addition to serving my guru, our obligations is guru puja, seva, following my guru's orders, specifically chanting my rounds, spreading Krishna consciousness, so books distribution, and following the 4 regulative principles I put down specifically, and supporting the mission of ISKCON. So I just put down for that in the list of obligations. And then for solutions, if you want me to share, suggest solutions to challenges faced in fulfilling obligations to guru and others in a balanced manner. And the first thing I took, which I have been working on, which is taking an inventory, like of where I spend my time, resources, and what's important, and just being intentional and practical about how to serve my guru, and without it affecting obviously my family, my householder duties, but also not failing to serve my guru's wishes. So. And yeah, so for the solution part would have been to take an inventory or list out your priorities.
Nice. Yeah, list of priorities. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a challenge to balance both of our, all of our duties, in this world, and also the duties we have to our gurus. But it is possible. And one person recently I was talking to, he's like a businessman. He has his own hotel, and he's a very busy person. But he was making the point that somehow or other, we have to develop enough seriousness to take our spiritual life. Yeah, seriously. Means he was making the point that people have to take their spiritual life just as serious as they do like their job. For example, people, they go to work, and it's like they can't just call on the boss and say, yeah, I'm not going to make it today, and I don't really feel like coming in. And the boss is eventually going to say, all right, buddy, well, we don't really feel like having you as an employee anymore, so please don't come back. So similarly, in spiritual life, whether we feel like it or not, we do things that need to be done. For example, you may be tired, I don't got time, and I'm busy, this and that. But whatever the case is, we do what we know should be done. So we take it seriously. So that's an important point to consider, and it's an important point to follow. So, yeah. Does anybody have any other? Now, someone may say, well, how do I get that seriousness? Because we may put spiritual life on a high priority of our list, but then we may not give it, practically much attention, or not as much attention as we should. So then how do we actually develop the seriousness it takes to practically give it the attention it needs? Now, that could come through the association of devotees. That's why we associate with devotees. because association with devotees will give us, will infect us with spiritual desires. Whereas association with materialistic, worldly people, it infects us with material desires. In other words, it breaks our determination for spiritual life. So, therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the first characteristic of a devotee is that they give up the association of worldly people. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't go to work and we don't, have some social niceties with our coworkers or anything like that, some of the things like that. But it means that we don't really deal intimately with worldly people in the sense that, for example, we don't go up to them and say, yeah, I'm really curious. Can you please tell me the goal of life and how to achieve it? That's too intimate. We deal with them, you could say, more as a formality. So by associating with spiritually minded people, we will be infected with spiritual desires. In other words, we'll be able to take spiritual life seriously. And then it'll be very easy for us to balance our worldly duties or our duties in this world and our spiritual duties. So yes, they must be on the priority list, but that has to be, this is a way to actually give our spiritual duties, attention if by developing that desire or the seriousness through association with devotees. So anyways, that's something. Does anybody have any other comments about this topic? What about Justin? Justin M.
I actually did have a question. So when you talk about doing it with a sense of duty, or treating it like I'm in the Army, right? So it's the concept of doing everything. Let me back this up. So in the Army, you do what you're supposed to, because at this point in my career, it's been beaten into me. But like you get up and you get up at a certain time and you go to PT and you follow these rules and regulations, and that makes a lot of sense to me. But I was trying to get away from approaching my sadhana that way, because I was reading something where Prabhupada said, we don't want you to be all hackneyed or something like that. Like he was basically saying, don't just like gruelingly knock your rounds out or something like that. And unfortunately for me, I was like, I think at this point in my development, it's better if I just do everything that way as opposed to trying to be super deep about it. I mean, is it okay to be like that in the beginning, where you're just kind of, it's like, okay, I'm supposed to do these things and I'm going to do them whether or not I feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Yes. Well, there's in the thing is, if we haven't fully if we haven't like made serious progress, or we're not firmly situated on very high levels of Krishna consciousness, then we do have to do things out of duty, because the full attraction for the activities of Krishna consciousness have not fully awakened. Right? So we have to do things on the order of the spiritual master, whether we feel like it or not. Just like, because that full attraction hasn't arisen yet. Now, on the higher levels of Krishna consciousness, which will gradually appear. We have deep attraction for the different activities of Krishna consciousness, and we always feel like engaging in them. But until that particular time has come, then Srila Prabhupada would sometimes say we have to actually force our minds to think of Krishna. So there's nothing wrong with that, because we're trying to get out of material consciousness. We're trying to enter into Krishna consciousness, and sometimes it's difficult due to our material conditioning. So to force ourselves, just like, for example, getting up in the morning to chant one's rounds, it's good to do that as early as possible before work, ideally, all of them ideally. So in order to do that, even to get up 30 minutes earlier, even if you're to chant half of your rounds or a quarter of your rounds, it takes determination. And our minds may not feel like getting up, and our bodies may not feel like getting up. But we force ourselves to get up and chant. So that's an example. And then over time, we actually like it. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with forcing ourselves to do something good. And then later on, we actually develop a lot of attraction for it. So anyways, I hope that kind of satisfies your inquiry.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. It's definitely going to be a lot easier to dig in now because I can do it that way for sure. Thanks.
All right. All right, Justin, do you want to continue?
Okay. So the next 2 pages are all quotes. Would you like me to read all the quotes or just the headlines?
Well, does the second page say additional quotes?
Yes.
At the top?
Yep.
Yeah, so you could just read the page that doesn't say additional quotes, but you could read the whole page, and then we could skip the additional quotes page. Devotees could read that on their free time.
All right. So page 47 on the bottom. Duty of a disciple to carry out order, spread Lord Chaitanya's message all over the world. The devotees of Lord Chaitanya must preach Krishna consciousness in every village and town in the world. That will satisfy the Lord. It is not that one should act whimsically for his own personal satisfaction. This order comes down through the parampara system, and the spiritual master presents these orders to the disciples so that he can spread the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is the duty of every disciple to carry out the order of a bona fide spiritual master and spread Lord Chaitanya's message all over the world. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant, without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. If there is no understanding, then there is no advancement. Our movement is that beginning of spiritual life is to surrender. If there is no surrendering, then there is no advancement. Sarva Dharmana Partiyajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. Bhagavad Gita 1866. This is the beginning. If that thing is lacking, there is no beginning even. What to speak of advancement? This is discussed already. This is the beginning of spiritual life. The word is called a disciple. Disciple means one who accepts discipline. If there is no discipline, then where is the disciple? One must strictly try to execute the order. The principle of very rigidly carrying out the order of the spiritual master must be observed. The spiritual master gives different orders to different people. For example, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami to preach. He told Raghunath Goswami to strictly follow the rules and regulations of the renounced order. All 6 Goswamis strictly followed the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the principle for progress in devotional service. After receiving an order from the spiritual master, one must strictly try to execute the order. That is the way of success. In this way, the Bhakti Lata shrivels up. Giving up the regulative principles and living according to one's whims is compared to a mad elephant, which by force uproots the Bhakti Lata and breaks it to pieces. In this way, the Bhakti Lata shrivels up. Such an offense is especially created when one disobeys the instructions of the spiritual master. This is called Guru Vanja. The devotee must therefore be very careful not to commit offenses against the spiritual master by disobeying his instructions. As soon as one is deviated from the instructions of the spiritual master, the uprooting of the Bhakti Lata begins, and gradually all the leaves dry up. The order of the spiritual master is the life substance of the disciple. After being initiated and receiving the orders of the spiritual master, the disciple should unhesitatingly think about the instructions of the orders of the spiritual master and should not allow himself to be disturbed by anything else. This is also the verdict of Srila Vishwanath Charivakti Thakur, who, while explaining a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, points out that the order of the spiritual master is the life substance of the disciple. The disciple shouldn't consider whether he is going back home, back to Godhead. His first business should be to execute the order of the spiritual master. Thus, the disciple should always meditate on the order of the spiritual master, and that is perfectional meditation. Not only should he meditate upon that order, but he should find out the means by which he can perfectly worship and execute. So that's the end of the quotes.
Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada would he would quote this verse from Bhagavad Gita often. Vyavasayatmaka buddhir ekeha kurudandana ahu shakya kanantasha bodhayavamsayanam. And that is Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. He comments on this. One of our acharyas comments on this Bhagavad Gita verse, and Srila Prabhupada read this comment, became very inspired. And the commentary, in the commentary, he says that it is the business of the disciple to follow the orders or the teachings or the instructions of the spiritual master, make that their life and soul. And whether they go to hell, whether they go to heaven, whatever happens, they do not neglect the instruction. And this is Krishna's system, as we've been discussing throughout this course. It's not that some gurus made up the system, but this is Krishna's system. Tatvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshante te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshanaha. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that one should humbly approach a bona fide spiritual master and inquire from them and render service unto him, and the self-realized soul can impart knowledge because they have seen the truth. So it's a system that Krishna set up, and we we could take advantage of that. We should find a guru and inquire. And yeah, ultimately it's the best if everyone can take initiation and make the instructions of the spiritual master their life and soul. Because the thing is, everyone is making some form or another, some instructions their life and soul. Like, for example, some people are into like you have these chiropractic doctors, and they have a whole like lineage of chiropractors. Although the person I know where this, he's a very important person in the chiropractic world. And you know, a lot of people, you could say, in many ways themselves to the science of chiropractic work, helping people and so on. I mean, people dedicate themselves to state or is accepting a guru. A guru. Or Sonia. Or is it Sonia? Sonia or Sonia? Sonia or
It's Sonia, and I'm sorry, I didn't even hear what you said because you were cutting out. So, and I don't know if it was just us or on everybody's end, but I didn't even hear what you said last. I'm sorry.
oh, how much did you not hear?
Yeah, it was cutting out for me too, but then a storm is kind of coming in, I think, over here by us.
All right. Well, I was saying that I'll be at a more we're almost there. I'll be at a more clear connection very soon, like in 3 minutes. I was saying that people take things so seriously, so many movements seriously, and Srila Prabhupada is just asking us to take Krishna consciousness seriously as our life and soul, and part of that is having a guru. I don't know if you heard any of that, but
You need to go home, money? Or do you want
did you hear that?
I got it this time around. Yes, I didn't get it the last time around, but I did get it that time around.
Okay. Well, I think what we could do now is Justin B, maybe you could just we could also read those additional quotes.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So this is page 49, additional quotes, lesson 9, Guru Seva. Disciple, which is related to the word discipline. To accept a spiritual master means voluntarily agree to abide by the rules and regulations given by a great personality. This is what being a disciple means, to voluntarily give. Yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir, I accept. The Sanskrit word sisya means one who abides by the rules. And in English, there is the word disciple, which is related to the word discipline. So a disciple becomes disciplined by the spiritual master. Even at the inconvenience of my personal comfort, I must abide by the orders of my spiritual master. Take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and serve him with heart and soul. For spiritual achievement, the easiest path is to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and to serve him with heart and soul. That is the secret of success. As stated by Vishwanath Charivakti Thakur in his 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, Yasha Prasada Bhagavat Prasada. By serving or receiving the grace of the spiritual master, one receives the grace of the Supreme Lord. By serving her devotee husband, Karmakanda Muni, Devahuti shared in his achievements. Similarly, a sincere disciple, simply by serving a bona fide spiritual master, can achieve all the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master simultaneously. Stick to the principle of following the words of the spiritual master. If a disciple is very serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master, he immediately associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by Vani or Vapu. That is the only secret of success in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead of being eager to see the Lord in some bush in Vrindavan, while at the same time engaging in sense gratification, If one instead sticks to the principle of following the words of the spiritual master, he will see the Supreme Lord without difficulty. When you're helping my missionary activities, that is real association. You write that you have desired to avail of my association again, but why do you forget that you are always in association with me? When you're helping my missionary activities, I'm always thinking of you, and you are always thinking of me. That is real association. I am with you as my Guru Maharaj is with me. The spiritual master is present wherever his disciple is trying to serve his instructions. This is possible by the mercy of Krishna. In your attempt to serve me in all your sincere devotional sentiments, I am with you as my Guru Maharaj is with me. Remember this always. So this is the end of lesson 9.
Okay. Well, you could continue to lesson 10.
Lesson 10 on page 50. Guru Vapu and Vani Seva. Lesson topics. Methods of Guru Vapu and Vani Seva. Importance of Guru Vapu Seva. Behaving appropriately in the presence of the Guru. Inquiring from the Guru. Importance of Guru Vani Seva. So definitions here. Vapu is physical body and Vani is instructions. The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. Behaving appropriately in the presence of the Guru. Rules of etiquette for a disciple from Hari Bhakta Vilasa. He should fall down like an uprooted tree, Dandavat, on seeing the spiritual master. When the Guru approaches, he should face him, and when he leaves, he should follow him. He should not leave the spiritual master's presence without asking permission. He should not utter the spiritual master's name inattentively, but always with respect. He should not imitate the gait, activities, or voice of the spiritual master. He should always hold the spiritual master's words in great respect. Though he may be punished by the spiritual master, he should not take it unkindly. He should not bear to hear criticism of the spiritual master, the scriptures, or the Lord, but should leave that place immediately. He should not step on the spiritual master's garland, bed, shoes, asana, shadow, or table. He should not spread his legs before the spiritual master, nor should he yawn, laugh, or make disrespectful noises before him. He should not sit on an asana or bed before the spiritual master. He should not worship others in the presence of the spiritual master, in preference to the spiritual master. He should not give diksha, scriptural explanations, or show superiority in front of the Guru. He should not give orders to the spiritual master, but always obey him. He should treat the spiritual master with similar respect. He should treat the wife, son, and relatives of the spiritual master as the spiritual master, but he should not clean the body of the son, take his remnants, or wash his feet. Would you like me to continue to the next page? Yes. So next page is some quotes. Guru Vapu Seva.
I think you could read those quotes.
Yes. So personally serve the spiritual master by giving him bodily comforts. The words of Guru Surusaya mean that one should personally serve the spiritual master by giving him bodily comforts, helping him in bathing, dressing, sleeping, eating, and so on. This is called Guru Surasana. The disciple should serve the spiritual master as a menial servant, and whatever he has in his possession should be dedicated to the spiritual master. As hard as a thunderbolt and as soft as a rose. An acharya, a great personality of the Vaishnava school, is very strict in his principles. But although he is hard as a thunderbolt, sometimes he is soft as a rose. Thus, actually, he is independent. To the spiritual master's children, wife, and relatives, the disciple should offer the same kind of respectful treatment he offers to the spiritual master. Family members of the spiritual master consider him an ordinary human being. If someone considers the Supreme Personality, Krishna, or Lord Ramachandra, to be an ordinary human being, this does not mean that the Lord becomes an ordinary human being. Similarly, the family members of the spiritual master, who is the bona fide representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Consider the spiritual master as an ordinary human being. This does not mean that he becomes an ordinary human. The spiritual master is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one who is very serious about spiritual advancement must regard the spiritual master in this way. Even a slight deviation from his understanding can create disaster in the disciples' Vedic studies and austerities. Respect one's spiritual master's godbrothers. Sri Advaita Prabhu and Iswari Puri, Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master, were both disciples of Mahendra Puri, who was also the spiritual master of Nityananda Prabhu. Thus, Advaita Prabhu, as Lord Chaitanya's spiritual uncle, was always to be respected because one should respect one's spiritual master's godbrothers as one respects one's spiritual master. It is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. My dear Sanata, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is the characteristic of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. If one transgresses the laws of etiquette, people make fun of him, and thus he is vanquished in both this world and the next. By observing the etiquette, you have satisfied my mind. Inquiring from the Guru. This should not be done in a challenging spirit. Those who listen to the Bhagavatam may put questions to the speaker in order to elicit the clear meaning. But this should not be done in a challenging spirit. One must submit questions with a great regard for the speaker and the subject matter. This is also the way recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. One must learn the transcendental subject of submissive oral reception from the right sources. Therefore, these sages address the speaker, Sutta Goswami, with great respect. Inquiries one makes should strictly pertain to transcendental science. One must be Jinasu, very much inquisitive to learn from the bona fide spiritual master. The inquiries one makes should strictly pertain to the transcendental science. The word Uttama refers to that which is of material science, material knowledge. Dhamma means the darkness of this material world, and Ut means transcendental. Generally, people are very interested in inquiring about mundane subjects, but when one has lost such interest and is simply interested in transcendental subject matters, he is quite fit for being initiated. Importance of Guru Vani Seva. Vani continues to exist eternally. Although according to material vision, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada passed away from this material world on the last day of December 1936, I still consider His Divine Grace to be always present with me in His Vani words. There are two ways of association by Vani and by Vapu. Vani means words and Vapu means physically presence. Physical presence is sometimes appreciable and sometimes not, but Vani continues to exist externally. Therefore, we must take advantage of the Vani, not the physical presence. The Bhagavad Gita, for example, is the Vani of the Lord, Krishna. Although Krishna is personally present 5,000 years ago and is no longer physically present from the materialistic point of view, the Bhagavad Gita continues. Vani is more important than Vapu. To carry out the teachings of the Guru is more important than to worship a form, but none of them should be neglected. Form is called Vapu and teaching is called Vani. Both should be worshipped. Vani is more important than Vapu. The bug who is sitting in the lap of the king. So far, personal association with the Guru is concerned. I was only with my Guru Maharaj 4 or 5 times, but I've never left his association, not even for a moment. Because I am following his instructions, I have never felt any separation. There are some of my godbrothers here in India who have had constant personal association with Guru Maharaj, but who are neglecting his orders. This is just like the bug who is sitting on the lap of the king. He may be very puffed up by his position, but all he can succeed in doing is biting the king. Personal association is not so important as association through service. If you kindly fulfill my mission, that will be our constant association. So far as I am concerned, I do not actually feel any separation from my spiritual master because I am trying to serve him according to his desire. That should be the motto. If you kindly try to fulfill my mission for which you have been sent there, that will be constant association. The feeling of separation will transform into transcendental bliss. Please be happy in separation. I am separated from my Guru Maharaj since 1936, but I am always with him so long as I work through his direction. We should all work together for satisfying Lord Krishna, and that way the feelings of separation will transform into transcendental bliss. This is the end of lesson 10.
Yeah, thank you for reading. So, you all will be required to remember some terms for your test. So those two terms are one, Vani. So Vani means instructions. And two, Vapu. Vapu means form. So Vani, V-A-N-I. Instructions, Vapu, V-A-P-U-H. Form. So Vani, Vapu. Vani's instructions, Vapu's form. So you'll be required to remember that, but also which one's more important, Vani or Vapu? Vani is more important. So you'll be required to remember that. And following the instructions is more important than the form. Vani and Vapu. There is also a number of behaving appropriately in the presence of the Guru. So you'll have to remember those by word for the test. Just joking, because that's a lot to remember, right? You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. You don't have to remember that, but these are some points that are brought up from Hari Bhakti Vilas. This is a book written by Sanatana Goswami. This is page 50. We're behaving appropriate in the presence of the Guru. So fall down means one should offer their obeisances to the Guru. They shouldn't be shy or embarrassed or proud or whatever. They should just offer their obeisances to the Guru, means bow down physically. Not leave the spiritual master's presence without asking permission. I mean, a lot of these principles here, it's kind of like, for example, you know, sometimes people, they say bye when they leave a party, and then sometimes people don't say bye. Once my grandfather, he has a tendency not to say bye. I don't know if I told you all this already, but they asked him, "Hey Glenn, why don't you say bye when you leave the party?" And he said, "Well, it'll take too long, and then I'll have to spend another 20-30 minutes saying bye. So in this way, just leave." But a principle here is asking permission. You know, what it says, should not leave the spiritual master's presence without asking permission. Means you don't have to go up and say, "Can I have your permission to leave?" But it's a cultural thing. You know, you're pretty much announcing that you're leaving, you know, saying goodbye. Similar thing like that. It's a principle. Should not utter the spiritual master's name inattentively, but always with respect. So usually when devotees will say the name of their spiritual master, if they'll say, for example, if the spiritual master's name is Vaisheshika Prabhu, that's a spiritual master. So a disciple would say, "His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu." That's a good standard. Or if a guru's is Bhajanarayan Swami, for example, he visited you all in Las Vegas recently. So if that was your guru, you would say, "His Holiness Bhajanarayan Swami." So it's a more respectful way. Not bear criticism towards the spiritual master. Should leave the place immediately. So we shouldn't tolerate criticism towards our spiritual master, but we should leave the place immediately. says we shouldn't step on the spiritual master's garland, bed, shoes, seat, shadow, or table. So we just don't. Means we're very respectful towards the spiritual master's belongings. I mean, shadow is quite subtle. I mean, usually we don't hear, oh, you shouldn't step on somebody's shadow, but it's being mentioned. So should not yawn, etc., before the spiritual master, laugh. I mean, the principle being is that one shouldn't be too frivolous in the presence of the spiritual master. It's not that you go to the spiritual master. It's a bit of a more formal relationship, actually. So it's not that you go to the spiritual master and, you whatever, pat him on the back and say, hey, or you go like this, hey, buddy, and you want to hear a joke I just memorized. It's a bit of a more formal relationship. Now, if the spiritual master says a joke, this here says we shouldn't laugh in front of the spiritual master. But if the spiritual master says a joke, then we can laugh. It's okay. I was in Mayapur, India one time, and one sannyasi, he was given a class and he said something funny, like a joke. And there was probably like, I don't know, maybe 800 to 1,000 devotees in the audience, and practically nobody laughed. And then he told everybody, he said, you could laugh. And then interesting enough is that a lot of them started laughing after that, like the whole audience. So we can laugh, but should be appropriate. That's the idea. I think Stevie has a question, so I'll just repeat his question.
I didn't see it in this list, but I think I read it in another list, was that we're supposed to not turn our backs. Is that correct? And like you're supposed to walk kind of backwards.
Yeah.
If that's, I see sometimes here in the temple too, it's try to walk towards the doors, or back away from the deities or Prabhupada.
Yes. So Stevie's question is about turning our back towards the spiritual master. So there's certain sign language that is, like, for example, this is like kind of like unfriendly sign language, right? Like this, or like this. It's unfriendly. But this is kind of more, right? Like, in other words, if you're about to get attacked, you could go like this, which is kind of fighting, like a fighting, bit of unfriendly stance. Or you could go like this. That's really, making things clear. Or you could go like this, right? That's considered the best, to go like this. So it's like body language. And then if you go like this and then they get closer to you, and then they come within the too close, what to speak of trying to attack us, then these hands could, go like this and then, defend, self-defense. I learned that from Stevie. He was here right now. Stevie's a jiu-jitsu teacher. So, of course, I need to learn more from him, because I think I'd be in trouble if I just, okay, I won't go like this, I won't go like this, I'll go like this. But then when someone comes to attack me, I could go like this, but then what? So I got to learn some more from him. I mean, I know some, street fighting stuff, but better jiu-jitsu, right? So body language is important, and we should avoid turning our back on the spiritual master and on the deities. There's ways of doing that, but yeah, it's more respectful to not turn one's back. So So yeah, Prabhupada says that the bug may be on the shoulder of the spiritual master, but what type of happiness is the bug giving to the spiritual master? So to be close in physical proximity is not necessarily the real thing. It's nice, but the real thing is to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. And Prabhupada gave the example of his god brothers. They had constant association, but Prabhupada didn't have that much association, personal. But the most important thing is the instructions which Srila Prabhupada followed. So, does anybody have any comments and questions on any of this? The different Guru Vapi, Vapu, Vani Seva, different quotes. What about Pawan?
Yeah, you don't have any questions as such.
Okay. Yes, Justin B.
I have a comment. The quote from the bottom of page 51. If one transgresses the laws of etiquette, people make fun of him and he's vanquished. I think that sounds a little funny. That would be so embarrassed when you're vanquished.
Yeah. Means his means that the Vaishnava etiquette is so important that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he really stressed it. And he wanted devotees to follow. And it's the ornament of a devotee, this Vaishnava etiquette. And vanquish in both this world and the next. I guess it's a pretty what do you call it? Strong statement, vanquished. But it means that because by following Vaishnava etiquette, we actually protect our spiritual lives. We protect it in the sense that, for example, there's all these guidelines how to deal with the guru. Now, if we don't know about these, then we disrespect the guru. And then just by nature's law, we have to suffer for that. That's karmic law. Karmic law means whether we know it or not. Like, for example, Prabhupada would say, a child touches fire and an adult touches fire, it burns. Fire is fire. So etiquette is important because it protects us from, digging ourselves into some ditch, some hole. So, and aside from protecting us, in other words, it teaches us how to deal with everything and everyone properly. This Vaishnava etiquette is meant to bring out the loving sentiments for devotees in Krishna. Just like in a marriage, there's certain rules that generally people who are married follow, which we've kind of talked about this in the past, but one rule is that, hey, we're committed to each other. We have a relationship, and the other person expects that the other person is not going to be trying to have relations with other people. That's like a rule in normal marriages. And this rule helps bring out the loving sentiments and affection and respect for the other person. And without that rule, you don't really have a proper marriage, and you don't really have a platform that such good sentiments can awaken. So the Vaishnava etiquette is just like that. It's just a platform or a set of principles that we follow to awaken the real spiritual consciousness. Just like the real purpose of all rules and regulations, there's one verse that describes this. The real purpose of all rules and regulations is just so we do not forget Krishna. Never forget Krishna, and always remember Krishna. All the rules and regulations are meant to bring us to this point. So same with Vaishnava etiquette. You have something, Tom?
No, I was just adjusting my,
Oh, okay.
my computer.
All right. So we'll go to the next one.
I have
This
a quick
is-
question.
Yes.
It's kind of off the subject. When you bow down at the temple to Krishna, I know there's a way. Is it like your left side? Or can you tell me how it like the approach? Because if I bow down head first, then my backside is to Prabhupada. So I know you're supposed to go like sideways, but I don't know which side.
Okay. Yeah. So when bowing down to the deities, you always bow down starting from the left of the temple. I mean, excuse me, the left of the altar. So let's say you're looking at an altar. So you always go to the left. Because generally the left is where Sri Sri Gaura is. Now on your particular altar, you also have Gaura, but they're all together. Gaura, Radha Govinda. So what you could do is that when you bow down, the left side of your body is facing the deities,
Okay.
not the right side. So it's always the left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Justin B.
Similar question. I've seen some people bow down to Prabhupada first and some people to the deities first. Which is the
Which
best
one?
order?
The best is to bow down to Prabhupada first. Actually, what a lot of devotees do is when they enter the temple room, they ring the bell, and then they walk in, and then they offer obeisances right when they walk in the temple room. Now, someone could say, who are they offering obeisances to? Say they're offering obeisances to Prabhupada from a distance. They're offering obeisances to the deities from a distance. They're offering obeisances to devotees who are in there. They're offering obeisances to the holy space of the temple room. But generally, they do that. They ring the bell, then they offer obeisances right when they walk in. But in terms of who to offer obeisances to first, usually devotees, they go to Prabhupada first, offer their obeisances, and then they go to the deities. Because, for example, in the morning, throughout the temples in ISKCON, we sing Samsara Davan Alalita Loka Tranaya. That's a song to the Guru. That's the first song of the day. Or before we offer boga or food to Krishna, what's the first prayer we offer? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale. And then we offer to Lord Chaitanya Namo Mahavadanyaya. Then we offer to Krishna Namo Brahmanya Devaya. So similarly, when we're offering obeisances, it could be in that what do you call that order? Yeah, to the spiritual master, Lord Chaitanya. And then when we have our spiritual master, means our Diksha spiritual master, we could offer first to him, and then Prabhupada, and then kind of work your way up. So.
What does that mean? Would you lay down before Prabhupada and think of your spiritual master? Or is yours
Yeah,
first?
that means that you lay down before Srila Prabhupada, you offer obeisances to Prabhupada, and you chant your guru's pranam mantra, which he would have to give you. And then you chant Prabhupada's. So, yeah. How hot is it over there in Vegas?
It's been raining like the past week, actually.
Oh,
So it's feeling pretty good right now.
good. Is it still hot though?
I don't know. What? I don't know what the temperature is.
I
90?
just looked it up. It says 75, but I think
75.
that's a lie.
Yeah. I think Stevie had a question.
Well, I guess it makes sense for me. I was thinking that
I'll repeat it.
This temple here, in Prabhupada, we offer our obeisances, bow down, but then for the deities, we go back. So then
Or maybe it is the right side.
we're on
Or the left side. Yeah.
because then our back isn't turned
Yeah.
to the deities or
Yeah.
Prabhupada because we offer obeisances. Then we usually come back and then go this way, left side according,
Yeah.
which then means we're never turning our back, I guess.
Yeah.
So that makes sense more for me now. Actually hearing that was like, we don't just stay right here. We actually go behind. So then we keep everyone on our left side.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, Stevie was just saying his realization after hearing after participating in the discussion right now about having the deities on the left side. So that when we greet the deities in the morning at 7:15, we offer obeisance to Prabhupada first, and then we generally for just coming in, and then we offer obeisances to the 3 sets of deities on the left side. So yes, Justin.
You brought up a detail I didn't ask about. If you have 3 sets of deities, are you doing 3 sets of dandavats or just one?
Yes.
Yes, 3.
Yes, 3 sets. Offer obeisances to Gordatai, then you get up and you walk. Offer obeisances to Radha Krishna, then you get up and then you walk. Then you offer obeisances to Jagannath and you get up and then, yeah. Good exercise.
So, because we were talking about not turning your back. In our temple, again, you walk in, you have Prabhupada over here, and you have Radha Govinda over here. If you come and offer your obeisances to Prabhupada, I normally get up and walk over here, in which case my back then is to Srila Prabhupada. So should I be like walking around and then going down to do obeisances to Krishna so that my back is not to Srila Prabhupada as I'm walking up to Radha Govinda?
Yeah, you could. I mean, yeah, you could walk around. The general principle is to try to, because some temples are arranged in certain ways. There's a number of temples actually with Prabhupada in the back. So the general principle is just to try as far as possible to not have the back towards Srila Prabhupada. So yeah, you could walk around. Because if you walk into the Las Vegas temple, you could walk to Prabhupada, you bow down, Prabhupada's, on your left side, right? And then you could actually walk a little ways and then kind of go towards the altar. And then you walk around so your back's not towards Prabhupada, like directly. And then you walk and then you could bow down before the deities. Yeah. I'll give it. Yeah, so. All right. Okay, so the next one is an interesting one. We're talking about accepting a guru. Now this is talking about rejecting a guru. So we'll go on to this one. Principles of Guru, it's called Guru Tyaga. Tyaga means to reject. Principles of Guru Tyaga, procedures of lodging concerns regarding Guru, reinitiation, continuing to practice devotional service in ISKCON. Principles and procedures of Guru Tyaga. So this is some quotes. According to scriptural codes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action has lost his sense of discrimination, is fit to be abandoned. According to revealed scriptures, a teacher or spiritual master is liable to be rejected if he proves himself unworthy of the position of a guru or spiritual master. If the guru becomes attached to sense gratification, loses his sense of duty, and follows a degraded path, a path other than devotional service to the Lord, he should be rejected. Even though somebody by mistake has gone to a rascal, the book is there. As soon as you find out here is a rascal who does not know anything about Krishna, and I have come to him, reject him. That is stated in the scripture. Gurur apyaviliptasya karya karyam janataha prityago vidiyate. Even by mistake, you have come to a rascal who does not know how to become guru. You can reject him. Why should you stick to him? Reject him. All right, so the writing exercises here. So according to our present realization and understanding, we can write in the box below. The question is, how does ISKCON protect disciples in the case of a guru who proved himself unworthy of the position? Write your comments below. So would someone like to share? What up? Okay.
I'll share what I wrote. I mean, I don't have anything too extensive, but from what I believe we have learned so far, in this case, they are allowed to follow the appropriate steps to leave that guru and then find a new one. And then if they would take initiation under that new guru, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then with that, does that mean a new name or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is accurate or not, but what I wrote was that, you know, that like what it said, that you have the right to reject them if they're a rascal. But then I also, maybe you can clarify this, like, I would think you could go to like the temple president if you were having a problem, like, oh, I think something's weird, or you could talk, maybe somebody like GBC would kind of get involved if the person was like, something was wrong. But I'm not sure, is there a, like an order that you go in if you are having a problem?
Yeah. Yeah, generally it's first, yeah, it's the spiritual, it's the temple president first, and then the GBC. So, yeah.
So I have a question, Prabhu.
Okay.
So sometime we may be like misinterpreting or like not sure like what Guru is doing is correct or not correct, right? Because sometimes we may not understand, right, the intention or what they're trying.
Yes.
So should we first talk to our Guru itself, like reveal that this is, I don't know whether it's risky or, because if we go and talk to third person like temple president or GBC, and it becomes a big issue, right? Like it's, so which is the right channel, whether talking directly to Guru or going to someone third person.
Yeah. All right. The correct thing is to go to one Shiksha gurus. In other words, we should go to devotees who could help us get a better understanding of what's going on. Like if we have some doubts or we have some concerns, we don't have to go to the guru directly or the GBC or temple president necessarily. I mean, maybe the temple president is our Shiksha guru also, but we could go to a devotee and try to understand things. Like that's our experience when we have a hard time understanding something, we go to someone and we say, please shed some light on this. And the person will say, yeah, I think what you're saying makes sense, but did you consider this and this and this, right? Like someone may say, why did my guru, kind of strongly correct me? Is that right? Well, if the guru strongly corrected us and we needed it and it was for our benefit and so on, then yeah, there's room for that. But is the guru correcting us? Was it like a fit of anger or him losing control of his anger? Or was it a controlled response, right? So anyways, there's different circumstances that we may have to consider. And therefore we have Shiksha gurus. So it's not necessary to go to the guru first, I would say.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, I mean, generally we should, err on the side of, should be cautious actually. It's not that we should be looking for like things like problems, in the guru. I mean, we shouldn't be blind, but the disciple, if they've accepted a guru, means they've learned to have trust and faith in this particular person, confidence, conviction. So after that, I mean, you could say like before that, it's kind of like the time where they should be looking, for, I don't want to say faults, but, things that don't exactly, they may not, like, in other words, if we're trying to take initiation from someone, it says we should study for a year, right? Hear their classes, this and that, and hopefully get some personal association as well. But at that time, we could analyze, okay, how much does this person control his anger? How much does this person, what is the mode of speech, that they're using, and so on. So, but afterwards, after accepting the guru, then yeah, I mean, we have to be careful, not try to become like fault finders, which is actually a word. It's called fault finder. So yeah. Any other thing? Yes.
I'd like to share some advice I got about how to find a guru.
Oh, really?
So I spoke to a few people and had some advice. One advice is try listening to 5 different gurus and then narrow it down to the one you like the best. Second advice, try to meet them in person. And third advice, one devotee said he asked his guru all kinds of silly questions just to see how he reacted. And he liked his answers very much.
Well, it's good if you could have some, try to get some what do you call, serious, sincere inquiries, but I guess there's different ways of testing the guru. But yeah, to listen to 5, that's good, because main thing that is instructions. So if we listen to 5 different gurus, then we'll have a clear idea whether we can be inspired by this person, because being a disciple of someone does rest on having inspiration from the person. So yeah. All right. So ISKCON does protect the devotees. Yeah, it's a tough thing, because a spiritual master is the representative of Krishna, but we see that sometimes the spiritual master or great devotees, they may fall into illusion. Just like in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya, he was traveling with one Brahmin, one great devotee, and actually he fell into illusion he became attracted to like a camp of hippies or gypsies. And the Lord Chaitanya had to come there, and he had to come there and deliver him. So it is possible that devotees fall into illusion, even great devotees. But hopefully, of course, this is mentioned in this particular ISKCON Disciples course, but the idea is that it doesn't happen. Just like when airline companies, if an airline company, all the time their planes are crashing, they're in big trouble. They're not going to get much business. So similarly, this is being brought up in the rare case that one's guru falls, just like in a rare case an airplane will fall. So the idea is to hopefully not have to deal with this. But because there's been a lot of devotees in the past who did have to deal with this, it's there. Okay, so we could read. I'll read page 55. This is lodging concerns regarding Guru. A disciple may express concerns in relation to their Guru in consultation with temple and GBC authorities, Shiksha Gurus, and ISKCON Resolve. ISKCON Resolve is a branch or a particular section of ISKCON, and they have a good name. It kind of points at what they're trying to accomplish. That's resolve, kind of resolve things. So there are ways of contacting them, right? Email, phone. You could look up ISKCON Resolve. So ISKCON Resolve, Shiksha Guru, Temple President, GBC Authority. If you give up the company of spiritual master, that is not good for you. But when one leaves a spiritual master, the spiritual master, there may be some reason. That reason is also given in the scriptures. Guru api avaliptasya karya karyam janataha. Karya akarya. If this guru does not know what is actually to be done, what is actually not to be done, and he acts against the rules and regulations of the scriptures, then such spiritual master may be given up. But so long you do not find the spiritual masters doing against the principles of scripture or guru, then if you give up the company of the spiritual master, that is not good for you. That is your downfall. So in other words, we shouldn't give the spiritual master unless there's a very, very, very good reason. One day, Gadadhar Pandit revealed to the Lord his reason for wanting reinitiation. He said, I have revealed my Ishta mantra, the mantra of one's worshipful deity, that I received from my guru to an undeserving person. And since then, my mind is disturbed. My Lord, you kindly reinitiate me with the same Ishta mantra, then my mind will become jubilant again. The Lord replied, be very careful that you do not commit any offenses to your guru, the one who instructed you on this Ishta mantra. As long as your mantra guru is present, you cannot go elsewhere or even come to me. This would jeopardize the spiritual life of both you and me. So once one becomes initiated by a guru, then they don't get reinitiated. Means, okay, if the guru falls down, then they get reinitiated. But otherwise, they shouldn't get reinitiated by anyone. That's a breach in Vaishnav culture. Sometimes gurus, or sometimes people get initiated in ISKCON, and then historically speaking, they've gone to other Vaishnav groups, and those Vaishnavas have initiated them. But it's a breach in Vaishnav culture because, like, for example, if I was to initiate someone, and then that person who got initiated by me, if they go to another Vaishnav guru of another group, and that Vaishnava guru initiates my disciple, then what is that saying? What is that saying of that other Vaishnav's guru opinion of me? Like, what's his opinion of me? In other words, he's reinitiating my disciple. By doing that, he's saying I'm not qualified. I'm not sincere. I'm a loser guru. So it's not very nice, especially if somebody's following. I mean, if I'm following the rules and regulations, if I'm sincere in my practice, if I'm taking up the service of initiating someone, then why should somebody else initiate my disciple? But we've seen that that's happened a lot, actually. So, but the idea is it's not actually a proper mode of operation. So for all of us here, therefore, we have to be careful who we pick as our guru, because we don't want to think, oh, I wish I would have got initiated by that guru, and maybe I could give him up and get initiated by somebody else. So it's kind of like a one decision thing. So the last quote: one pollutes his own intelligence and exhibits severe weakness of character when he rejects his own spiritual master. Indeed, such a spiritual master has already rejected the Supreme Lord. Hari. Page 56. A devotee who, considering GBC guidelines on the subject of rejecting a guru and consulting with senior ISKCON devotees, has decided to reject his non-bona fide guru, may seek initiation from an approved ISKCON guru. Normal procedures as applicable in the case of first and second initiations as described elsewhere in ISKCON law should be followed. So here's another writing exercise. List ways a disciple can continue to be connected to Srila Prabhupada, the Guru Parampara, and ISKCON in the case of Guru Tyaga before being reinitiated. So we'll take a few minutes for that. What about Mr. Miller?
Well, I feel like this is kind of an easy answer, just because I can't speak for everybody else, but it's kind of like you're in the twilight zone, So like that's where I'm at, in that spot between, sort of being initiated or not being initiated, or whatever. So I mean, you can, by doing Harinam with devotees, associating with devotees, keeping a picture of them in your altar, it's like, I mean, you can do all these things that like I kind of do as, for lack of a better term, training wheels. So it's like, it's like all the things you do at the house before you actually have an established sadhana that's been directed by a spiritual master. So but yeah, I mean, you can just keep doing all the things that you would be doing in any case, to keep the machinery moving, so to speak. I'm not a spiritual expert, but I would imagine that if your spiritual master falls away, that doesn't change the relationship you have with other devotees and the relationship you have with Krishna. So, you would just continue to, to move forward until the situation is
Yeah,
resolved.
yeah, that's a very good answer. Yeah, you just continue, that's all. Just continue doing what you always did. Despite the external difficulty that you're undergoing. Not that you lose faith. Oh, my guru left, and now Krishna consciousness must not work, and Krishna must not be real, and all of it's just unnecessary, and I'm gonna go do something else. It just means that the guru somehow fell into illusion, and it happens, and we just have to continue. Now, of course, again, this is rare circumstances, but even amongst our peers or people who are a little more senior to us, like over the years, I've had a number of people that I knew closely and people that I didn't know so closely. I've witnessed them fall away. And, for me, because I was thinking to myself, well, these people have been practicing for so many years, and then, to hear about them falling away, it's very discouraging. So, and I remember a number of times, being discouraged from hearing, bad news. Yeah, but I mean, what am I supposed to do? But I just continue. Of course, I'm a little, discouraged for a while, but then I just continue. And just because somebody else had difficulty doesn't mean that we have to. And we can learn from their mistakes, actually. What did they do or what did they not do that created a problem? And then learn from their mistakes. So I tried to do that over the years. Tried to learn from other people's mistakes. Of course, I made my own mistakes and tried to learn from them as well. But yeah. Yes.
So in the case of, in the rare case of like a fallen guru, is there any opportunity for them to kind of come back into that position, or like once they've fallen, I mean, is it that they kind of like shun, so to speak, from ISKCON, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, actually, it says that if your guru is having difficulty, you should actually try to help him and wait for him to come back, really, to his senses or away from his senses. So it's not just like, oh, the guru has a problem and just, reject, but you actually wait some time and you try to help him. And then after repeatedly, trying to help, and obviously it's not getting better, then yeah, there's forms of rejection him as a guru, as your guru. But in many cases, these people who are acting as gurus, they actually are still devotees. They remain devotees. And it's not that they're shunned from ISKCON. They could still be a part of ISKCON. They just don't act in the role of as a guru. So, yeah. I mean, I could think of some cases throughout the last, years I've been around, and there was cases of devotees who fell away, and some cases they were pretty much restricted from initiating people, but they were still in the position of a teacher as a guru, but they were just restricted from initiating people. And then after years, rectification and so on, then they were allowed to initiate, continue to initiate. So that's a case like that. But then there's also cases where the guru gives up their status of a guru and they completely leave ISKCON. But in terms of being shunned away, generally that's not the case, unless there's some severe offensive behavior that is like dangerous to others. But generally these devotees leave just on weakness of heart. Means they're attracted to material energy, but not shunned from devotee association. So I hope that answers it. Yes.
I don't know if there's a clear answer for this question. So we have the concept that listening to the guru's words are the most important, the Vani. So if your guru falls down, his old instructions are still good, right? Like, how is that different?
Yeah. Well, the instructions are good, right? But we need an example of how to perfectly follow those instructions. Because if we were just going off of instructions, then we got plenty of good instructions, in Prabhupada's books. But we need an example of how to follow those instructions. So if the guru, like many people may teach very nicely, right? And then when they get off of the seat, in terms of their interpersonal dealings and their own spiritual practices and so on, they're not on such a high level. Yeah, not practicing what they preach. So it's important to practice what one teaches. That's what it means to be a teacher. And that could be a complaint that people have, that well, this person's a very good educator, right? He knows what he's talking about. But then when he gets off of the seat, it's just, where's his spiritual practice? How is he practicing what he teaches? And in the case of a guru falling down, I mean, they're really not practicing what they teach. So therefore we can't follow them. So it's a tough situation to be in, a guru. But it's necessary situation for somebody to take. But also a lot of the times people, they kind of, go after the gurus, like, hey, there's no qualified gurus. Hey, those gurus aren't following. Hey, But actually disciples have a lot of responsibility as well to be good devotees. But of course, yeah. So anyways, those are some thoughts.
I have a question from.
Gaurangi is there, huh?
Yes.
All right, Krishna. Gaurangi.
Yeah. The question is, can guru reject the disciple in case disciple is not behaving properly?
You're asking a tough question, huh? Well, there's only a few cases, very, 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 very rare, in which Srila Prabhupada would reject anyone. For example, Prabhupada had one disciple named Chaitya Guru. And Chaitya Guru, what he was doing is he was collecting money on behalf of ISKCON and putting it in his own pocket. And then Tamal Krishna Goswami, one of Prabhupada's disciples, said, Prabhupada, Chaitya Guru is doing this. Should we inform the people that he's doing this, collecting money in the name of ISKCON, but pocketing it. And Prabhupada said no. Interesting. So then later on, this Chaitya Guru, he started living on Juhu Beach in Mumbai, India, Bombay, India. And he was trying to learn the art of passing a coin into one ear and it going out the other ear. He was trying to learn that art from a bogus yogi or some, meditating yogi, like coin like that. So in other words, he was just falling off. I mean, what does it have to do with devotional service, coin? And so then Tamal Krishna Goswami said, Prabhupada, he's doing this. Should we, this is too much, aren't you going to reject him? And then Prabhupada said, you do not understand the mercy of Lord Nityananda. He said, the mercy of Lord Nityananda is unlimited. In other words, I cannot reject anyone. Now, there was a case of a devotee. His name was Nitai Das. He's a disciple of Prabhupada. And Nitai Das was a Sanskrit scholar. And he started doubting Srila Prabhupada, his Sanskrit, etc. And he became quite offensive, actually. And one time he came to Srila Prabhupada and he asked him, his own guru, he said, Srila Prabhupada, can you bless me that I find a guru? So what does that mean? That means that I don't think you're a guru. Can you bless me that I find a guru? So you could see how offensive that is. If you're going to go up to Prabhupada and say, please bless me that I find a guru. So Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to all the temples and he said, this Nitai Das has become a serpent. You have to be very careful about him. But then, like 2 weeks later, Srila Prabhupada was with some of his personal secretaries and Nitai Das was nowhere to be found. And then Srila Prabhupada asked, how is Nitai doing? So even though Nitai was so offensive and Prabhupada warned the devotees, still Prabhupada was asking about his welfare. So the spiritual master never forgets, and under rare circumstances, he may reject, but generally not.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Usually the disciples are more quick to reject the spiritual master. Just like, for example, the living entities, they're more likely, or they're the ones inclined to reject Krishna. And then Krishna always is open arms waiting for the soul. So similarly with the spiritual master, similar principle. The spiritual master doesn't give up on anyone. So the bona fide spiritual master. All right. Are there any last comments or questions? We also have another quote here. Please always try to remember me by my teachings, and we shall always be together. Just like I have written in the first publications of Srimad Bhagavatam, the spiritual master lives forever by his divine instruction, and the disciple lives with him. Because I've always served my Guru and Maharaj and followed his teachings, I am now even never separated from him. So follow the instructions and we'll be connected. So I was thinking that this Sunday, we won't be able to have it the coming Sunday because of the Rath Yatra in Los Angeles. It's a big festival there. But I was thinking if everybody wanted to, I mean, it's up to all of you. We could, because we can't meet this Sunday, so we could meet the following Sunday. But as an alternative to that, we could meet on Friday or Saturday. Sometime in the means later. How does everyone feel about that? Or should we just wait till Sunday? We'll take a, what do you call that? Yeah, we'll take a sabbatical. Summer sabbatical. What do you think?
For us personally, waiting until the following Sunday would be easier. We have family coming into town for my daughter's birthday.
Oh,
So it actually kind of
Friday,
worked out.
Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, for us personally would be difficult. So if we could do it.
But again, Prabhu, if this is being recorded, uploaded on YouTube, by all means, don't feel like if everybody else is able to do that, don't not do it. If we can always come back to the weekend and watch that course that we missed.
Well, I think we could just wait till the following Sunday.
Yeah, my vote's for Sunday as well. And I see
Okay.
Justin's is too.
Yeah, I think we could do the following Sunday because if you, Sonia, and Tom can't make it, then I think we could just do the following Sunday because we'll actually finish it the following Sunday. So it'd be nice if Tom and Sonia could be there for the last one. So
Well, we can use this Sunday to go and recap all the other class, do it instead of cramming for 1 week before we do the test, we can use this Sunday to kind of use the week to go through all the whole first 3 courses we
yeah,
went through too.
yeah,
So,
exactly. So from this Sunday means today. Actually, you have a while, right? Because it's today, this Sunday, and then next Sunday we won't meet. So that's sometime, and then we won't meet till the following Sunday. So you have a good amount of time you can look through all the material and try to, keep it in your, yes. And you could keep it in your mind. So then we'll meet, what is it? One second, we're looking at the calendar here.
So we will meet on the 14th.
We'll meet the 14th at 3 p.m.
So will we finish the lessons and then take the test that day? Or are we doing the testing separate?
I think we're gonna finish the lessons and then we're gonna take the test on the 21st,
Okay.
right? That's everybody's understanding?
I have a question.
Yes.
Should we organize a proctor for the Las Vegas temple people? How are we doing that?
Well, do you think, Justin, B, do you think you can speak with Devananda and try to set up or whoever, it could be Devananda, it could be, somebody like that. You could try to set something up at the temple for a particular time that works for all of you on the 21st, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to talk to the other people.
I guess it would be you four. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
And the proctor would have access to the test?
Yes.
Great.
Yes. I mean, what we'll do is we'll send, what I'll do is we have to figure out what we'll do. Somehow or other I have to get the test to you. But I guess what would be, because we've done this before. I guess it doesn't, I could just send them to you and you could print them out, right? And bring them to everybody.
Sure, yeah, I can do that.
Or I could send them to Devananda and he could print them out. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna cheat or something. This is a formality, but. All right, sounds good. And then Justin, we'll work something out. Justin Miller, we'll work something out for your test. And then
Okay.
Pawan and Stevie are here in San
Okay.
Diego.
Yeah, should I, I've got a pretty good network up at the temple here in Seattle. I mean, I can ask them about it. I'll just,
Yeah,
what do? I just tell them, hey, I took the course with Balaram at the at the San Diego temple. You know, can somebody proctor a test for me?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm sure some of them will be
shouldn't be
happy
a big
to. It's always fun being a proctor of a test, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me talk to a couple people I know up there and see what I can work out.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you soon, the 14th. Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna.
Hare
Krishna, everybody have a great week.
Later, everybody.
Haribo.
I have a question for until like taking sheets.